Welcome to the Wellness That Fits podcast, where we help busy moms eat well, restore energy, and clear brain fog without sacrificing family time or your sanity. I'm Cassie Greschel, registered dietitian and mom of three. I believe wellness should fit your real life, not the other way around. If you're tired of complicated wellness trends and want simple, sustainable strategies for meal prep, holistic nutrition, and time-saving routines, you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hey guys, welcome back to the Wellness That Fits podcast. Today I have Misty Lakes with me here. She is a Christian life and business coach, a speaker, and founder of Misty Lakes Coaching, and she is Godfident. She helps women move from stress, overwhelm, and striving to a life of peace, purpose, and Godfidence. Through group coaching, mentorship, and practical faith-based strategies, Misty empowers women to align their time, business, and life with what matters most. Her mission is to help women stop building from pressure and start leading with confidence, clarity, and trust in God's plan. So I'm so thankful that you are here with us today, Misty. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Cassie.
You betcha. Misty, maybe for those who aren't familiar with you, can you share a little story behind your business and what first drew you to this work?
I just made a post this morning. This month is my 9-year celebration of my coaching business. And
Awesome.
thinking back when I started, I really didn't have a plan. I knew that God was leading me to help more women, and I had no guidance from anyone. It was complete surrender to Him. But I knew that I was called to help women find peace in their life and to make sure that their time was aligned with the things that they valued the most. I was in direct sales for when I started my company over 16 years. I was a leader. I did all the hustle. I did all the things. And I found myself feeling guilty when I was working because I wasn't spending the quality time. Like, I was a work from home mom. Like, I should have had all the time in the world, but I wasn't really in the moment. I was always thinking about my family and things I needed to do when I was working. When I was with my family, I was thinking about the work that I needed to do. And it was like this guilt that I went to bed with every single night and just trying to juggle it all. And there was a very dear friend of mine. When you're good at something, Cassie, and you're a leader, you can get volunteered or asked to do a lot of things. And if you don't have strong boundaries, then you may say yes to a lot of things. So
Mm-hmm.
that season of my life before I started my coaching, I was doing a lot of things, but I wasn't doing a lot of things well. And I had a conversation, and one of my friends said, draw a target in the middle of this piece of paper. So I drew a target, like a bullseye. And she said, what is the most important thing to you? And I said, well, God, He's the most important thing to me. And well, what's next? So the next ring, I put my family. And the next ring, I put like my friends and those who were very important to me. And then I put my career. And I was also involved in a lot of other volunteer things with my church, my kids' school, just different things. And I said, now where does this go? Like, these ministries go in the center, correct? And she said, no, Missy, your family is your first ministry. And I just broke. And I was like, wow, I'm giving a lot of people my best. And the people that matter to me the most are getting my leftovers. And I started making changes from that point on. And I cut back on work. I made sure that I was more in the moment and scheduled more in the moment things with the people in my life that I love the most. Along with saying no to a lot of things, I cut back on work. And I just found that I had more peace in life. And I started sharing this with other people. And one day I was like, I just feel that there are more women out there than the women that I lead that could benefit from this. And crazy enough, I was like, I'm just going to start a Facebook group. And I did a post, and people joined my Facebook group, and I did a giveaway coaching session. Didn't even know what I was going to do. I had no plan. And this girl won. She was a State Farm agent or getting ready to be a State Farm agent. And we went to the coffee shop. I did a coaching session, and she cried. We had great conversations, and she said the words to me, How much are you going to charge? I want to meet with you every month. I was like, wow. I was acting really calm in the moment with her, but I was like, wow, people want to pay me to do this. Okay, I'm going to set it up right. So I went to the girl that I knew that would set up LLCs, and I talked to her about my vision. And I didn't really have the money to have it all set up, but I knew how to make it with my direct sales company. And I shared it with her and I said, um, this is what I'm going to do. How much will it cost? And she said, you know what? Like, could we barter? Because like, let's go to lunch right now. I think I need what you're offering. And so there's so many women out there that are driven by the numbers and the responsibilities and the things of this world. And they're in the hustle, but God is like, He's pulling at women to slow down and to put Him first and to put the things that are the most important. But that's how I got started. It was just confirmation with them two ladies that this is what God's calling me to do. I think I literally Googled, can you be a life coach in the state of Kentucky without a certification? And you could. So I ran with it. Since then, I've got my business. I went back to college and graduated in 24 with my business degree. But I mean, just the years of working with women, I knew enough to be able to help them and with my own experience. So that's how I got started.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. And I love the picture that you draw of the target. I wrote on a wall in our house, and I love the quote, the best work that you'll ever do will be inside the walls of your own home. And
Yeah,
so it's so important. It helps me remember that because I'm the same. I grew up in a church with mom and dad, very, very involved in church. They helped like in every aspect, every time they were asked. And I could see, it can reach a point of burnout, and we were always taken care of as kids, too. But I love that reminder that it starts in the home, and we have to make sure that, we are regulated. We feel good in how we're showing up for our family and the kids and husband first, right? Before, like, God first, but then the kids and
sure.
husband before others. So I really appreciate you bringing that to the forefront. And I have to ask you, because it sounds like you were pretty successful early on. So I always have this question in my head. Do you think that reaching a level of success and then telling yourself that in reaching burnout, I can't do this anymore, like then slowing down is easier than trying to teach somebody to like be in alignment prior to reaching success, especially for high achieving women? And I should quote unquote success, because success can mean different things to everybody.
Yeah,
Let's say financial success, just because
sure.
of this world? And
Yeah.
so sometimes it's like that question of, man, that is hard, when you're trying to build alignment in your life and still trying to hit some of the goals that high achieving women have. Or is it easier to hustle, 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 reach burnout, then start slowing down because you've built something? Do you know what I mean?
My experience was a little bit different. I had some things that happened in my personal life that it forced me to slow down. So in my direct sales company, I had to step away from a little bit of responsibilities, and I just stopped working as much. I thought about it all the time. I was working all the time, and I needed to be available more. So in that transition, the business actually started to slow down. And when it reached that breaking point, I don't I always say, I don't know. I feel like the God just kind of took the rug out from under me and was like, you've got to stop this. Cause I love people. I'm a people person. I'm loyal. So when I step into something and I love people and I love that company, it was really, really hard for me on my own to just walk away. But it was all in His timing. And I would say to the women who, I think this is what we have to do, Cassie. We have to ask ourselves this question. This is one of the most important questions. Are we finding our identity in the success, even the financial success, the financial piece? Because when we truly put God in the center of our life, business included, then the alignment flows. If you think of like a water fountain, and when God's in the center, and then we'll talk about temple time. I'm excited about sharing with you a ring that I developed after I started coaching, and you will love that part. But when we take care of ourselves first, we put God in the center, we take care of the temple that He's given us, we we create a legacy with the people that we love the most, with our family. And then we worry about career. Like when that is in alignment and God's in the center, He works it all out. But we have to know that our identity is in Him. It's not success. And that's what I see when I see high performing achievers. The reason why it's so hard for them to slow down, or they do reach that point of burnout to where they completely just fall apart from exhaustion or burnout, whatever the case may be. Most of the time, they found their identity in that success. They
Hmm.
don't know how to quit because it feeds that void that they have, or whatever the case may be. Now, I'm not against hard work. You know, I grew up on a small farm. My dad he's in his 70s. He still is out there hoeing a garden. Like, my family knows hard work. I'm not against that at all, but it's the reason behind it. And that's what we have to ask. Why am I working this hard? Why do I feel like I have to have this high success in my life? Is it because of the calling that God's placed on your life? If so, go for it. But if we're trying to fill a void in our life because this success has become part of who we are, it's not sustainable. Because what happens is, if a position fails, if a person fails us, if a career fails us, and we've got our identity in that, then we don't, it fails and we're crushed and we don't know who we are. But when we keep God in the center, it's like, oh, it's not what I do that matters. It's who I am that matters. And that purpose and that calling and those gifts that we have inside of us, no matter what career path we choose, even if we decide to come home and stay home with our kids, that is the most important thing that we could do if that's what God is calling us to. So God has to be in the center. And if not, then we can get our identity tangled up with success. I think I went on a rabbit trail, but I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should have mentioned too before we got started. So I met Misty through a mutual friend, Melissa Wilkinson, who I've had on the podcast here before too. And her and I were sharing our goals and our word for the year back in January. And I had shared with her that my word of the year was Godfidence because of a number of reasons, which I can get into in a second. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you have to meet my friend Misty Lakes. She's amazing. She's all about Godfidence. Like her whole business is built around Godfidence." And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to meet with her." And so the reason why I chose the word Godfidence is because though being a Christian my entire life, I know that I derive a lot of purpose through achievements. And it's something that is like hardwired into my brain. And I work on changing it and I struggle with it, but like letters, achievement, I put a lot of my purpose into that, even though I know whose I am, right? And it's something I've always struggled with. And that's why this year, I was like, oh my goodness, instead of trying to achieve everything in business and entrepreneurship, can I step back and just really focus my time and energy around putting God first, you know, um, starting the morning with reading the Bible and just allowing God more into my life, like through prayer and just that kind of thing. And so it is amazing what can happen in your life and how fruitful things can be when you do. God is always at the center, and but saying that, and really practicing it is 2 different things. And always like I believe it, and I say it is, of course it's super important to me, but then actually knowing that my success rate is like not tied to, or my purpose and who I am is not tied to success and high achievements, but it is to God. And so I'm curious, do you have any strategies that could help us high achieving women to bring us back? Like get out of that style of thinking and get into the mindset of, like you said, if you put God in the middle, in the target, and then everything else aligns. What are your best strategies to
Uh,
help women do that?
I created a course exactly for what you're talking about, and it's called Time That Aligns. And in the end of it, we created a little purpose workshop too. And I believe those 2 things, when you know your purpose, I take women through this journey. And this is a little deep and we won't stay here, but I take this through this journey to where they attend their own funeral and the people that they love the most get up and start to speak about them. And it's like, what do you want them to say about you? And in that, like, all of that other success, it doesn't matter. Like, that's your legacy, are the people that you empower, the people that you love, that is your legacy. And if we focus on that and your purpose and your calling, I call it living in a heaven's perspective of knowing that we're here for a greater purpose. It's whatever God has called us to do. If we can keep that and keeping God in the center. And it's not even, I had this revelation actually not long ago. I did a little work retreat where me and one of my clients, we went and we did nothing but like we worked, but we prayed and we sought God for direction in our businesses. And I had the Bible out and I was searching scripture along as I was planning, like, okay, this is a question that I have. I was using Google, of course, like, what's a scripture that represents this? And I would go to the word and then I would read and I would pray and ask God to speak to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I've always taught I don't want religion in your relationship with God. There's no check mark with Him. Like, you don't have to get up and like do a checklist with God before you start your day. But I desire to. I desire to spend time with Him to start my day. But I was like, it's not even just about the beginning of our day. It's all throughout the day. It's all throughout our business. And when we have family issues of going to Him first, all of us women, we like to call our buddies and our friends. And I'm like, if we could go to God first and go to His word first, no matter what it is, that's alignment. Like, we're aligning with Him when we can keep Him in the center of everything because He cares about everything. He cares about our business, He cares about our families. And when you do that, then the the word, His voice, what He's speaking to you about your calling becomes greater than the voice of the world. So when we're in success mode and we're driven and we're searching for the world, that's what we're going to get. And we can become more driven. There's nothing wrong with having big goals. Like, we serve a big God. So of course, it's only natural for us want to dream big and to have big visions because He's behind it all. But we can't let that be the center. Because if it fails, if you're high driven success and you've got that in the center of your target, and that's the most important thing, if it falls, then you fall. But when God's in the center, it doesn't matter if people fail you, if a career fails you, you know who you are, you know whose you are, like you said before, and that carries with you wherever you go.
Yeah, I love that, like how you word it there and tell that story. And I love the funeral example. I've actually done that at one of my retreats as well. It's something that I have to continuously revisit and keep in the forefront. It takes work rewiring your brain. And
It
so,
does.
yeah,
Yes, it
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I basically what I'm hearing you say is set up your life in alignment so that you can lead from that grounded confidence instead of through listening to the world, right? And what the world might say about you. And I think it's not just the world, but also maybe our own human nature of fear and anxiousness and
sure.
you and I were talking a little bit before we started recording about how I'm a dietitian and I work with women on their nervous systems and how food can actually impact that. I think so many women are just they're working at a high level of anxiety and stress and hustle, and their nervous system is just constantly on overdrive and they're striving. And so in those moments of high stress, do you have any tips for us on what to do or maybe like how to revert back to a more calming, putting our confidence in God?
I hired a assistant, and she was helping me with my marketing. She's a young gal, wise beyond her years. And we were talking, we did a training with my girls thinking that I knew what I was doing. We did a training on time management. And one of the things that she talked about was she said, I started my own business because I wanted to have more time to do the things that I love the most. But how many times do we start our own business as entrepreneurs and we end up working all the time and more than we would if it was a 40-hour job that we would
Yeah.
do? And and when she said that, the second thing that she said, I had showed my schedule to her and she said, "Hey, don't forget to schedule yourself lunch." And I'm like, what a novel thought. Like, my
Mhm.
calendar's wide open. There's no like, everybody can book all these appointments, but I'm not even scheduling time to take lunch. So, I think because we are driven and we are passionate, especially if you're doing something that you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like work and you can work all the time. So, you have to be proactive in your schedule. And it sounds silly, but it's like, okay, do you schedule yourself a lunch and maybe during that time you do a devotion too, or you take a walk, or you write a card to someone, or you make a phone call to someone that you love. Like, what is your scheduled time? There's a book, I just read it. It's by Amy Kemp and it's called I See You. And one of the things that she talks about in there is scheduling play, scheduling things that fills your cup, that you enjoy, that brings you joy, things that you love, your people that you love, scheduling that. Because I was like, man, she's so right on this. When you have a vacation plan, don't you get more done the week before? It's like
Mhm.
you gotta get all this stuff done before you go on vacation, but you're excited, you're ready, and you don't care to work hard to play. And if we just did that, women, I see so many women and work with them that they're driven and they're working all the time, but it's like, what are you doing not just once a year on a vacation, but what are you doing every week that that fills your cup emotionally, physically, spiritually? I I'll jump into this temple time is what I call it. When I started coaching women and I did the whole target that we talked about before, but I found a missing piece about a year in. I found that women were not taking care of themselves. Now you can call it self-care, you can call it whatever that you want, but my conviction was that this is a temple. Like, this is a gift. My body, my emotions, everything that he's given me, it's a gift from him, not just my time or my money, but I am a gift and I should steward it well. I need to steward myself well. So when I have my girls do their target, the second ring, nobody ever says it. The second ring that I have them is temple time. And I call them temple tanks, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. How full are your tanks and what are the things that fill those up? Those are the things that you schedule time for. It's not just work all the time. And maybe you want to slow down. If I write a book, I think it'll be for God's sake, slow down.
I
I think
love
it
that.
was gonna be time that aligns, but I'm like, I think it's gonna be for God's sake, slow down because women are so rushed. And even when they have a break, the to-do list is so long, even for the moms who have littles, the to-do list never ends. And if they're sleeping, they're trying to get all the other things done. And I just want to say, hey, take a nap or read a book. Like, it's okay to slow down. Like, we have to slow down. And how many people even takes a day of rest? Like, if God created the world and he rested and he said that that was important, like, we talk about all the other things. And again, this isn't anything about religion, but if it was that important that he created a day for us to rest, I think we probably should take a day to rest. But how many of us do it? But we don't do it because we don't schedule it in. So you've got to be proactive with your schedule. You've got to schedule all things temple time. You got to schedule all things family time and protect that time. You still could work a full 40-hour a week, but there's so much. We have 168 hours in a week. And if we sleep 40 of those, we work 40 of those, we still have a lot of other hours in the week to schedule. When I say what's the most important thing to you, nobody ever says scrolling on social media.
Right.
Nobody says that that's important. Nobody says binge watching on Netflix. I'm not condemning those things. I do it all. But but if we don't schedule, if we don't have a fun evening plan, even if it's dinner with our girlfriends, calling up the people that we keep saying, "Yeah, we're going to get together," and you love these people but you never do it. Like, I would much rather go spend a couple hours with girlfriends that I love and fill that emotional cup than go sit on the couch and scroll for 2 hours. That's so there's distractions, there's discouragement, there's distraction. So to go back to answer your question, we have to be proactive in scheduling time. It seems silly to actually pencil in when I'm going to take a walk or going to take a lunch, but if we don't, something else, our workaholic spirit will come in there and fill that time, and we'll be working all the time and be exhausted from it.
Yeah, and I honestly work with women that they're running their business in survival mode and wondering why, they have afternoon crashes and why their hormones are out of control. And exactly to your point, a lot of the things that I talk about is schedule routine and schedule eating. I know it sounds crazy, like you said, it's just like get it into your calendar because it's so important to schedule those things. So I love your example of the temple tanks. And so can you remind me? So it's physical, spiritual, and emotional, right?
Mental.
Mental also.
Yep.
Okay. So there's 4 of them, and I was just thinking what I really like to do, is habit stack some of these things because we are so busy,
Yep.
and not to say, of course, you shouldn't just, like, schedule one time doing something physical or whatever, but, I what I really like doing is taking a moment, so you schedule maybe whatever it might be, it could be 15 minutes, it could be a little bit longer, half an hour, but in order to hit and habit stack all of those things, I'm gonna talk just like give one example just for listeners. Eating lunch, like you said, scheduling a time where you can nourish your body. That is a physical thing, but also in that time, what I really stress and talk about with clients is to take a moment and do some breathing exercises before you eat 'cause there's some science behind it and getting into your parasympathetic mode in that rest and digest stage because we are going into every meeting and the next thing and the next thing at a high stress level. And so how can we get our bodies to slow down and digest our food, absorb the nutrients so that we can then continue to support our high energy level things. And so simply breathing before eating, maybe like a few rounds, 1 to 2 minutes of box breathing, 4 seconds breathing in, holding for 4 seconds, 4 seconds breathing out, holding for 4 seconds. And and then stop there and then eat your food, right? Eat some sort of lunch. So those are both kind of physical things because it's body related. And then, part of the box breathing, I actually just got a book gifted to me. I forget exactly what it's called. It's like Daily Breathwork with God, or I forget what it's called. Shoot. But what the idea is on the deep breaths in, you're like breathing scripture. So like for example, on the inhale, it's the Lord is my shepherd, and then on the exhale, I shall not be in want. And so you're bringing some spirituality into the physical breathing exercises. So you're habit stacking there. We're covering spiritual, we're covering physical, and a little bit mental as well. And then through fueling your body with nervous system regulating foods to feed your good gut bacteria, which can impact your mood, can not only help mental health, but also physical health. And so, anytime, if you're a listener thinking like, okay, how can I do this in my life? Like that would be one example. Would love to hear more. But yeah, that's just something that came to my mind as you were talking about scheduling those priorities.
Yeah.
And one more thing too is like women don't realize what they can do and what they can accomplish if their cups were full and they had fueled their body spiritually, physically. Like, you may be pushing off, and myself included, I'm gonna raise my hand here. You might be pushing off the workout knowing how good it is for your brain, your energy levels, because you're trying to get more done on your to-do list. When scheduling that in and actually doing it could help increase your energy just to get those things done faster. And so it's like time management, habit stacking, all these things are really important in ways just that we can make time for what's important to us. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we're connected, right? Like we are a whole being. That's how God created us. So habit stacking only makes sense. Like we if we fill our emotional cup, it's going to help fill our mental cup and our physical cup. Like it is all connected. And yeah, I love your habit stacking. I love to listen to a good audiobook while I walk outside when it's warm.
Love that.
I love to walk with friends. Like there's just so many things that you can do, but we've got to make time to take time to do those things. And we become a better person. I think it's important for women listening to know it's not selfish. I grew up in a generation of women who took care of everything, everybody, and they didn't take care of themselves. And they were not able to be their best self for the people that they love. And I think that's important is looking at, okay, this isn't selfish, but if I want to be the best business owner for my people that I teach, if I want to be the best mom, the best wife, the best daughter, whatever it is, then I've got to take care of me. So it's the whole airplane scenario, putting your oxygen mask on first before
Mhm.
you can help other people. So it's very important, vital actually.
Yeah, and modeling it for your family too, right? So it's absolutely important for yourself for all the reasons you mentioned, but then like showing your family and your kids especially what it looks like when you take that time to take care of your temple that God has given you. And yeah, show them that there's more to life than moving through everything. I love like the role model part because a lot of women again, they can't seem to do it for themselves, but if you start thinking about it in, like, supporting your family by supporting yourself, that's huge. We can't build sustainably through chronic dysregulation of our nervous system and our stress levels, and so I think it's really important to realign and to bring to the forefront what's really important, and, yeah, and, as we're talking about this whole self-care thing, it kinda makes me think of, like, how much optimization is in our world and, like, self-optimization, and I just think women are overwhelmed by pressure to constantly improve and produce more, optimize more, like, manage your time, even though it is a good these are all good things, but
Yeah.
there's so many things that we could be doing and I think sometimes we just get numb to all the things that we know we should be doing and we try to do them. And so I don't know what are your thoughts on that pressure to always be doing more? Um and what maybe do you do or teach in your own life in order to like bring us back to again, how can we self-optimize but in a God-friendly way?
Yeah. There's so much pressure to perform for on women these days. And I think social media is bittersweet, but there's so much comparison. So when we see someone else doing more, then we feel like we need to do more. Whether it's our looks, there's so much comparison. That's a whole nother Godfidence topic that we'll get into another podcast. But I think that you have to make time to just be. And the hardest thing I think for women to do is to sit and do nothing. But if you can get in a practice of every week to just sit, just sit. I don't know if it's a cup of coffee in hand or if it is just a glass of water with some lemon, but you literally just sit, if it's in nature or if it's sit watching your kids, and just reflect on the things that is the most important. But you and I both know in anything in health, whether it's working out, whether it is eating the right foods. We didn't talk about meal planning too, but I'm learning that is I have a health coach too. And the most important thing that we can make time for with our physical health is to make sure that we plan what we're going to eat. But having an accountability partner, whether it is in our health journey, our temple tanks, finding someone that says, "Hey, I need to slow down in life and let's do a check-in once a week and see where we are." And because women, it's easy to break accountability when it's only ourself. And let's face it, sometimes we like to rebel. We don't want anybody telling us what to do, not even ourselves. So we're
Mhm.
like, we're so exhausted from everything else. I'm just tired of it. I'm going to go have a blizzard. And
Mhm.
if we have that accountability partner and whatever it is that we need accountability for, you might overcome the exercise part and you're loving it and you get up every morning, you're doing the good in that and it's a habit. But maybe it is the eating, maybe it is the being still. And you find an accountability partner, somebody who loves you that will be truthful with you and saying, "Hey, I've noticed you've been working a lot and you told me to hold you accountable. And I know that, your family's more important," or whatever it may be, but just having that accountability partner could be huge to
Mhm.
walk it out with.
I agree, and there's research behind that too, how much having an accountability partner or coach or somebody to help hold you accountable is the success rates are significant. And so that's so important. And I love that you talk about meal prep. I have a meal prep course because I strongly believe that planning your weeks ahead so that you don't go into the week, a busy week with all the decision fatigue and overwhelm, and nobody wants to be planning or making dinners at 5 p.m. when they get home and they're completely fried and they have to make one more decision. It just seems like
Yeah.
throw in the towel, what are we gonna order for takeout, right? Like, there's so
Guilty.
many busy yeah, right, and not to say we don't do it, right? But, like, if you can just plan your breakfasts ahead, super easy, like, 5-minute things, I am all about chia kefir pudding and throw some fiber in there for gut health, mood stability, hormonal control, all of that, blood sugar control, so important, so I love that you bring that part up. And, yeah, that mental fatigue is real. It's so important to be able to anytime you can plan ahead is really important. And you had also, when as you're talking about being still, I think so many women are working on the habit stacks and going from this to that to this to that. It's good for your health, right? You're going from the gym, doing brain games and the red light therapy, then you go do a sauna session and you're working out and you're doing all these things that are good for your brain and your mental health, right? Like, however, there's a lot of biblical based knowledge and wisdom around being still. It could literally mean, like you had said, go walk outside or just go sit outside, sit on your couch with a book. Don't be distracted. Put away the screens because our attention and our focus are just being completely taken from us and it turned into something that is wrecking our brains. It's truly wrecking our brains. And we're working so hard. Myself and high performing women, we're working so hard to better perform executive functioning and being at our best. Yet we can't do the simple things like slow down and make a meal for yourself. You know? Like, I know people are super stressed, but, like, making a meal, getting your kids involved in the cooking process, maybe your, spouse, can just do huge wonders in being present,
Yeah.
building core memories, reducing risky behaviors in kids, and, like, how important it is to have, some family meals. But, like, some of those things that we're striving toward, we're burning ourselves out when all we need to do sometimes is just be still.
Yeah. Be still and slow down.
Mhm.
I
Absolutely.
I will tell you, so now I'm an empty nester. My kids are older. I'm a mama now. And I remember thinking when my kids were younger, like one day, like my life will slow down. Well, what happens is it becomes a habit and we get addicted to rush. We get addicted to procrastination, being in a hurry. And if we don't create the habit, it doesn't matter if you are a stay at home mom, if your kids are young, old, or gone. Like I continued when my kids left, like I continued. There's always something to do. Our jobs are never finished. You have to make time to slow down. My daughter recently introduced me to pour over coffee. And I'm learning, this is something I've learned that it's good to eat before I have coffee on an empty stomach because of my adrenal
Yeah.
glands. And so I decided I love the taste of just pour over coffee, but it takes time to do that, right? And I'm like, "You know what? It's okay." And she even mentioned this, like, it's kinda gets me to slow down a little at the morning instead of just the rush of the coffee and doing something else, and, like, this is brilliant. So I am gonna slow down a little bit and do pour over coffee because it so finding things that will force you to slow down
Yes.
too,
I
you
love
know?
that. Yes, it's so
Mhm.
important. Any habits that you can get into, it's just everything is go, go, go. And we wonder why we have leaky gut and we wonder why we have low motility in our stomachs. And it's all the stress, and why do we have brain fog? Why do we feel stuck in our lives? There's so many reasons. Of course, spiritually, we wanna make sure God is at the center of our lives, but also from just to take care of your body by just slowing down, like you said, I think is so important. So, Misty, is there anything you wanna maybe leave with listeners that you feel like is the core belief of your Godfidence or something you just wanna leave with women today?
My passion is I just want women to know that their confidence should be in who God created them to be. They don't have to compare their family with someone else's. They don't have to compare their looks, their career, their gifts. Like they have a unique purpose that God's created. And when you keep Him in the center and you listen to what He has said about you and know that He's created you in your mother's womb for His glory, there's a beautiful thing that happens. You start saying yes less. It's easier to say no to things that you don't feel called to do. It's easier to let go of the people that have their own opinions. It's easier to let go of that. You can love the messenger, but throw away the message. And knowing for sure that you are His and that you are called for His purpose and that you serve an audience of one, and that in itself will bring so much more peace and so many more good choices in your life. And you can slow down. When you get to that place and you know that He's calling you to be still, like the word says that, be still and know that I am God. Well, how are we going to know that He is God and He's got things to say to us if we're never still? In that quiet time just to listen, we talk a lot, right? Even in our quiet time with Him, we can talk a lot. But to be still and to listen, it's one of the most important things that you can do.
I love that. Thank you so much for that reminder and just for bringing peace to the conversation around something that can feel overwhelming. But I really appreciate your heart and your wisdom in talking about all of these things today. And Misty, is there anything that's coming up for you or that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I just created and launched my first course, and that is you can find that at timethatAligns.com. But you can also go to my website and I have different things there. I have a new coaching program. I've always coached women business owners, and I have opened that up to women who are maybe they don't have a business yet or don't have a goal for a business, but they have a mission or a purpose. Like One of the girls that I just talked with, they're writing their first like devotional. And so it could be anything that you know that you've got a greater purpose, a greater calling, but you don't really have the Godfidence yet and you don't have the direction. And this group it's called the Collective. It's just a collective group of women that we focus on Godfidence, peace, and purpose. And that is on our website, mistylakes.biz. On the homepage, you can find all of that there.
That sounds amazing. That sounds something like I definitely need, that collective
We'll
of
sign
women.
you up, Cassie.
Yeah, it's like just to be surrounded by women who have
Mhm.
similar struggles and also beliefs as you. And again, you had mentioned the accountability and just the community and being there for one another and helping one another stay connected to God. So I love that. Misty, and then where can people find you? Are you on Instagram or are you
Yeah.
mostly website?
On Facebook and I'm on Instagram, Facebook more. And I just joined TikTok literally within the past couple of weeks, but She is Godfident. And that is a platform that I want to start using to pour into women and help them find their Godfidence.
Thank you, Misty. Oh my gosh. I hope all of our listeners feel like they can be more confident or just bring God into their lives more. So thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you for having me, Cassie.
Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Wellness That Fits podcast. I hope you walk away with simple, doable steps you can put into practice right away. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world if you subscribed, left a review, or shared it with another busy mom who could use some encouragement. Until next time, friends, keep creating wellness that fits your life.